Yes, we are live. Welcome to season 7, episode 18.
That's by far the most we've done in a season because we've
Yes.
extended through the summer. So
Do we
that's
even
pretty
know
cool.
how? It's like we're pretty soon. It's like we're going to be running out of fingers, fingers and toes, man.
There you go.
Sure.
We have to start using someone else's fingers and toes.
Yeah. we'll get our significant others
We
in.
got some
What number comes
flippers
after
here.
20?
Bring your fingers and toes over here. Ow, ow. Hey, I don't need those. Yes, Clarice. I love your fingers and toes.
I can't see anything.
What's the matter there, Dan?
I can't. I wish I wasn't blind, you know? Like I can't
Yeah,
see
well.
with my glasses, and then I need these old broken reading glasses to see close.
Yeah.
I've got already bifocals.
Man, that's what happens when you suddenly become a grandparent. Man, you just go blind.
Yeah, well, I was blind in second grade, so
Yeah.
it
I was
hasn't
like trying to
gotten
figure out why my glasses were all foggy, and then it's like, oh, I got these big fingerprints all over them. So
better. I know mine are always. Yeah, I can't see through them. You know.
'cause I typically don't use these while I'm sitting here at my desk because I'm usually using my other glasses because I'm painting. And now when I'm
No.
looking at my computer more often, it's like, oh, I need my other one.
Yeah, I hear ya.
These are just my reader. They're only 125s, just enough to give me a little boost. Now these, like
Oh,
those are my heavy duties, 3s. That's
okay.
so. Everybody, how's everything going? Other than we're blind and deaf and lost in space.
Musty. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much,
Good.
Musty.
pretty musty.
Odor,
Looks like we've got some
odor of
folks
Lazarus. Uh-oh.
in the comments here.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I gotta
Maybe I
rank
missed
it.
that. Unless I missed that. We got Clyde and Chris.
Kind of a little bit of reference to
Yeah.
Mr. Winemaker there.
So who's making wine? Palmer?
Not me. I don't know. You don't remember that was in another show. He called me the winemaker as I think
Oh,
in
yeah.
whining or something like that. It was a reference. Yeah.
It had to have been that.
Yeah.
If you ever watch Sam Kinison, I'll repeat this again. It's like there's a skit that Sam Kinison, the late Sam Kinison,
The legend.
the legend, one of his skits was Jesus dies. He's married, right? And he's dead. And he comes back out of the grave, and his wife goes like, "Where have you been, Mr. Winemaker?" It's like, "Well, I've been gone for 3 days. I've been dead. Ow, ow, ow!" That kind of thing. Fighting off death and decay, and all you're doing is worrying about where I've been. Oh, that's hilarious. I just love that. That's like I missed that guy. Too bad he died before his time.
Must have been his time. How do you know, right? It
Well,
was his time.
it was before the time that we're willing to give him up. That's what,
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
yeah.
So who should
Yeah.
we start with?
There's the other one in the Barons War. The Order
Can you
of
guys
Lazarus,
can you
huh?
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you guys
We're
hear
just-
me?
Yeah,
Okay.
We're
Okay, I
just
just wanna-
ignoring
you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. It was like I don't know if it was a delay or I'm like, oh, there's Chris and Clyde in the room, and there's like no response, and I'm like, I better type that in there. I'm not sure people are hearing me.
Yeah, I didn't have my comments on, so I just clicked it on when you said that, and then I see.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So okay, cool. Sorry, Rusty. Go ahead. Go on.
Continue.
As you were saying.
As you
What?
would.
I
Don't
can't hear
let-
you. What you
Don't
you
let me
talking?
stop
What?
you. Don't ever let me stop you, Rusty. just keep going.
Right. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep. That's how it is it? I got the mute button. So other than that, it's like, what's everybody been up to here? It's been a month.
It has, hasn't it?
Ooh,
Ooh.
stuff.
Stop. Don't go into detail.
We're like mostly through the summer now, right? Or is this the halfway point for like?
This is about the well.
Well, yeah.
Another
4th of
month and a
July
half
is
will be
halfway, I always
September.
think.
Oh, snow on you won't it next month, won't it, though, Paul? You're almost ready for fall
Me?
up there. Yeah.
It
I'm
is so
just joking.
hot here, man. Yeah. No, it's funny because it's only, you kind of froze there for a second. It is so hot here right now compared to
How
usual.
hot is it?
How hot is it? I know, right?
And no, I mean, like I know down south, you guys are getting some really, in many areas, like credible heat, but it at times have been so hot here. But having said that, I may have mentioned on the show, I heard a quote that the only month of the year it hasn't snowed in Alberta was June, like a documented snow. I don't know if that's the month. I thought it was June, they said. And I don't know how accurate that is, but it's crazy though. Could you imagine it snowing in August or July where you live?
No.
Well, I've seen
No.
it snow in August in Minnesota, but
Yeah.
not down here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Wow. So speaking of the heat, yeah, no, it's like I don't have AC, so it's really bad sleeping weather. It's really bad sleeping
So
weather.
what is the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Sorry?
What's the temperature?
Fahrenheit.
Well, I mainly know it here. It's always reported in Celsius here. So
what is it in Celsius?
So in Celsius, like yesterday it was as high during the day as 33. So
you're about 90, 92.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty warm.
Yeah, let me see here. So I guess 30. So it's 90. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Rusty. 91.4 is what it's saying. And so it's that for me is kind of uncomfortable. But
with the dry heat, right?
Well, it is dry, but what's worse is nighttime. Like it's what lingers at night, like what stays in the house and you open the windows and it doesn't clear out in the evening. Anyway, for like the kind of show we run, that's probably the most that you want to hear about my like sleeping weather. But,
what do you wear when you sleep?
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, I can answer more questions, Palmer.
Sounds like a Jake from State Farm question.
Yeah, right. Oh Lord.
These summertime shows are getting off the rail here a little bit.
Yeah, it's the heat. That's what does
focus.
Well, it is warmer now than it was back. It's like when the 70s and early 80s when I lived in Minnesota. It was, you get about 2 weeks where you get up to maybe 90. That was the dog days of summer. But we never had air conditioning. I never knew what air conditioning was until I moved to Iowa. Then you don't live without it.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking 90s to 100 degree Fahrenheit with 60, 70% humidity.
Yeah.
When it gets really hot here, the only thing I can do is retreat to the basement here because the basement still maintains cold. Like even in this kind of weather. But yeah, no, it can be rough.
Yeah, typically it's like I will normally have this on. This is my sweatshirt because it gets down into the 60s in my basement. It could be 74, 75 upstairs, and it'll get into the 60s down here.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, my basement has a pretty consistent temperature, and boy, but when I get my AC cranked up, that cold air drops down here, and it's woo.
Zach, is that my breath I see here?
The girls get a little perky.
So let's just go around the table here. What have you been up to, Tim?
I am still working on a lot of my artillery and anti-tank guns for my Flames of War.
Okay.
Got my little working on like there's my camera. 17 pound. Oh shoot! Oh, stroke.
Oh.
That's
Mother-
plastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
All
they're
right,
all
so
plastic.
they'll the humble bumble bounce, but
Yeah. Bubbles bounce. And then I got a little 6-pounder.
6-pounder.
And- Yeah, and then I figure that's what I'm be working on tonight. Get those. Then I got my 25-pounders over there on the other table. All
You
the
got
guns.
little trucks to go with those.
No, I don't. I wish I did, but I do not. They will be a future purchase.
I got my 25-pounders from Plastic Soldier Company, and they come
Yeah.
with trucks.
Oh wow. Well, I will tell you that. Did I tell you guys this the last show? Who was? Oh, I think I did it on my video. These 6-pounders that came in that box. I got them direct from Battlefront.
Yeah.
Over, and every gun off the sprue broke in exactly the same spot.
Huh.
And they broke. It was really interesting how they broke, because I was thinking that it was something that if you were to look at them, you wouldn't be able to tell it. I think it was something inside the plastic, because they would all break. I keep forgetting I got my camera up here now. They'd all break about.
Give me a second here. I'll expand you out.
Okay. They would all break right about in here, right in this, middle
Right
part
in front
of
of the mantle.
Yeah, right in front of the mantle, and but they all broke exactly the same way, and had like a little spur. There was like a cone going in, and then on the part at the mantlet had like a little sprue that stuck out, and I could put the glue on, and it glued right back on. But every gun, no matter how I braced them from the sprue, I mean, like I held it down so it didn't have that added pressure in different places. Like when you're cutting stuff off, you because of the way they're connected to the sprue, if you cut it this end, it adds pressure somewhere else on the sprue and can snap like a sword or a spear or something. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll hold it with my thumb, or I'll get a clamp and hold it down in one spot and then try to cut that at another end. No matter what I did, every one of these broke at exactly the same spot, which to me is probably one of those things, like if you're doing quality control and you pick up the sprue, I mean, the sprue looked fine. You could not tell there was anything amiss. There was no discoloration. There was no, looks like a hairline crack or anything in it, because they all broke exactly the same thing. A cone, an interior cone, and a sprue, a little spur on the outside towards the mantlet. And I was like, that was the oddest thing. No, that's the only models I've ever had from them that have done anything like that. My 17-pounders didn't do it. My 25-pounders didn't do it. Just those 6-pounders. It could be like, that might be the rarest box that they've ever put out, because it may have been just a once in a lifetime little thing where just
something as part of the injection process.
Right. And something, maybe an air bubble got in there or something, very, very small, just enough to keep it from having a really tight bond. But what cracked me up is they all broke exactly the same way. Yeah. Exactly. It was very odd indeed. But I got them put together, got the guns with their camo on them, and now I'm just doing a little skin tone action here, and then we'll go on to boots and the glasses.
Well, the nice thing about 15s, you don't have to get too elaborate when you're putting paint on.
Yeah, that I'm not going to. The models aren't that good. They're just really not. As individual pieces, they're just not that good. I mean, you can see some of the
company or
no, they're Battlefront.
Oh, okay.
Huh. Yeah, and they're that. I just showed Rusty before we started.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, show everybody else. Yeah, everybody's probably had Battlefront. That's that real
Oh, that rubbery
flexible,
type. Yeah.
It's
rubbery
that
type.
resin plastic.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's not the PB stuff, is it? Or is that different?
The what?
But yeah,
It's not you're
they're
not a big fan.
yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of the game and most of and the guns, yeah. But these little guys. But then again, the gun kind of takes up all the focal point anyway. So getting these guys really detailed would kind of be a little bit of a waste of time because unless you're like doing some sort of really cool diorama or something on a tabletop, you're not going to see it anyway. You got the helmets on, and usually they're bent down doing something.
What you're trying to say is you're not going to paint the eyes.
Oh,
No.
obviously he'll do the eyes.
Yeah.
The new ABS that people are 3D printing with, it's called ABS 2, is actually bendy like that, so they don't break. Because you remember on that last show that we did, how we were talking about how they can get really brittle if you over cure them.
Yep.
Yeah, because so my winged lancers did. The lances on them all they were brittle. They snapped. Even the feathers on the wings would snap. Yeah.
I was looking at a friend's 3D printed models.
It's a building, Battletech building, but you look at that, it's like it's nice and flexible. It's that nice resin you're talking about there.
Yeah, so I was looking at a friend's model like that, Bretonian actually, that he was printing, and it actually was kind of bendy, and it was in response to the discussion. He was telling me about it, how they did that. It almost looked to me like it was like yours there, Tim. Like it looked like it was bendy like that. I don't know if that's it, but it kind of, I guess it just depends on like what you like and what you don't like. The nice thing is that it doesn't snap on you, but it also has a little bit of that like board game miniature quality if it's really bendy, right?
Yeah, right.
So not everybody likes that.
Well, they actually say on their website at Battlefront about their artillery crews being specifically done this way. I think it was because of cost and stuff, and because of just the way they are in the base and stuff. When you see this thing, you don't even look at the gun crew. You look at the gun.
Yeah, clear across the table.
Yeah, that's all you're going to see anyway. So I'm not really complaining too much about that because I don't think even if they were great sculpts, I don't think I'd be spending an inordinate amount of time on them on a base like this, where they're all lined up right behind the gun.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what are you going to plan on doing for the basing of those things?
Oh, well, they will be something like. I have an older version, but they will be something like this. That's paver sand, and some tufts. Because paver sand, depending on the grit, can be really, really smooth, and I use it all the time. Yeah.
So what I did with my desert effect is I took this all-purpose spackle. The mud that you get for putting up at sheetrock.
Yeah.
I laid that down nice and smoothed it out, or kind of put undulations, kind of like sand dune kind of effect.
Right.
And then I have this, what do you call it? It's from these guys. I can find it here. Move my stuff out of the way. Nope, that's not it. Here's somewhere. Probably always the last container you grab. It's the fine ballast from Woodlot Scenics.
Okay, yeah, I've got some of that.
I put that down and I just kind of sprinkle it on, and it gives that kind of a rocky texture look to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then I just kind of glue it down, and then It looks really good. And then I just kind of washes over. I kind of dry brush over it and then put a wash on it. And it of Seraphim Sepia, and it looks just really good.
Does the job. Yeah.
I need I got it. No, where the heck is it? I got it. My box is over there behind the other box of stuff. I can grab it real quick. But yeah, it looks pretty good. It's a nice little effect for all my 15 mil for my desert British forces. I did the same thing with my Germans too for the Africa Corps.
Cool. Yeah, I like this paper sand because it comes in the great big buckets. I have one big bucket. I unless I do like a 10 by 12 table, I'm not going to use all that.
Where the heck's where's my container of sand at? I put this computer here and then I rearranged everything. Now I'm trying to
Can't
figure
find
out what
anything.
That was your problem trying to organize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't ever
I
clean.
over organized it. Now I can't find it. It's just like I was looking for my headphones. My wife wanted to use my headphones for when she was watching her show, and it's like, what the hell did I do with those things? Are you working on a Stuka there, or is that a Yak?
It's a Stuka. Good eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not working on terrain, or is that?
Well,
terrain?
he's working on terrain. He's putting something that's going on.
You know better than that, Palmer. It's for
Oh yeah, I
trade.
guess it's for terrain. That's true.
I thought it looked like the fuselage looked like a Stuka to me.
Yeah.
Don't be silly, Palmer.
Don't be silly. Think about it. Yep, that's the last piece I've got for my Stalingrad table. I got all the buildings done. This was
Really?
the last.
I feel like I've heard you say
Really?
that before. Yeah, I very feel like I've heard you say that.
Yeah,
What
well,
scale is that?
it's been a slow plod. 148. Gonna be
148?
crashed. Yeah. 172nd if they're in the air. Because I did a Mustang 172nd scale on a flight stand for on my Americans when I use air support option and bolt action. That's where the plane is. Then I'll put the plane stand where you're marking. Where you're gonna
You start your strafe or
where your
bomb.
attack is or whatever, and then you see if it comes in and if it's off target and all that. So it's just aesthetic mostly, but
Stay on target.
yeah. And I actually got a game in this weekend.
Oh wow!
Yeah, right. The first time since I don't know, March or something, or February, somewhere in there.
Well,
Yeah.
You got more games than I have.
Mark stopped. We just started, calendars weren't lining up at all, and it worked. He came over Sunday afternoon, and we played a game of bolt action on the Normandy table. I told him, I said that could be our last game on there for a while because I'm ready. I get this stupid thing built. I'm ready. I'm ready to let it go. Put it into action. So that's exciting. And then I've been following they've been putting out some teasers, some information, slow leaks, sort of like they did for Warhammer: The Old World for Bolt Action 3rd edition. And they're definitely doing some changes. So that's been interesting to kind of follow along with some of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any information about what new coming down the pipe with that.
Yeah, if you can subscribe to Warlord's newsletter, then you get all the. A lot of times it's like, what do they call it, Warlord Wednesday or something, and you'll get emails then that tell you. And of course, anytime they've got a sale or whatever, but they've been. I suppose, Tim, have you been seeing them? Maybe you don't look at them, but.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting the emails. I just haven't read them.
Oh well, there you go then. Yeah. But yeah,
They're so dangerous to me when I open all those emails, and
yeah, pretty soon you're ordering.
and then it's like, God, I want one of those. I want one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always lots of new stuff coming out, things on sale, and
That's what they get me, the sale stuff. It's like, oh, it's on sale. The same
need it.
same sort of mental process I used to tease my ex-wife about, my girlfriend now. At least it's on sale. It's on sale. Do we really need
Yeah.
it? And
Like, I don't need it, but the sale is hard.
I do the same thing. It's on
Mhm.
sale. Point and click. There we go. I got something else on the way.
I've sort of put a moratorium on buying stuff right now.
Yeah, I've been doing super good too. I haven't even pre-ordered the rule book yet for Bolt Action. Comes out the end of September.
It's one of those rare times when I got less unpainted miniatures than I started the year with.
Wow. That's impressive.
Wow. That's impressive.
Helps a little bit that you hurt your back, right? Because you've been strapped to your desk instead of doing like other summer activities.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of painting. So it's like I painted a complete Tomb King's army and
you're
pretty much that orc army.
Orc army, yeah, pretty much. And that's huge.
Yeah.
The orcs and goblins army is basically 3 armies. Because there's the orc army, there's a goblin army, and there's a troll army.
Oh yeah, the troll army, that's right. Yeah, that thing's massive. Very cool. Quite an accomplishment.
Just got on there. So now, speaking of which, I did finish a bunch of orcs today. So got a little bit of work in.
How about
to call Games Workshop and tell them that we know where their orcs and goblins all went. They're at Rusty's house.
Do you have a musty drink tonight, Rusty, or are you not doing your update right now?
Oh, I got a musty drink.
Actually, mine's musty as well because, I mean, nothing gets mustier than Kool-Aid. I mean,
there you go.
Old school Kool-Aid.
Spiked Kool-Aid?
No.
No,
just fruit punch, straight up.
Oh, you could tell a little white fib. Could have been spiked.
Yeah, it could have been, but
just to make everybody stand up in their seats, hearing that you're drinking on the show.
I just
kidding.
I don't want anybody to get shocked and
right.
I always like taking fruit punch and mixing. Have a packet of fruit punch and a packet of orange, and put it in a gallon jug. Mix it up.
There you go.
So it's like something about adding a little bit more orange flavor to it. It's always nice.
Yeah, that would be good. They'd complement each other well. No doubt about that.
Did you show yours
yet? I've had less hobby time than I've had lately. So,
did you show your musty drink yet, Rusty?
No, I have not. You want me to do my update and then you do yours, or
sure, you might as well.
Okay.
You're talking about a little bit about some of the stuff you've been painting.
All right, so here's,
make yourself big.
On the big screen. There we go.
Let's see, there you go.
Green screen is on the top there. All right, so there's you've seen some of these guys on the other video.
Okay, yeah.
So these are the remnants of what I hadn't finished painting. So I've just finished them off. It's a bunch of orc archers.
Are they 3D printed or are they old school? I couldn't quite tell.
They're from an old board game. Another, what was it? I think it's a old Games Workshop board game. I think it was.
Okay.
Where it came from. And I just started working on these. Here's some more. It's like compare the old size to the new size.
Yeah.
Like they've been supersized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the old orcs do not compare to the new orc scale.
Yeah.
They barely fit on. It's like I can see why they put them on 30 mil bases now, where they barely fit on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 15 more orc archers to do. I've just started putting those guys paint on them, so I have those. I have a whole passel of BattleTech buildings for flying everywhere. These are 3D printed buildings. There's your map scale.
The ones you
Those look
printed
good.
yourself?
What's that?
Did you print them yourself?
Yeah, I printed myself.
Yeah.
They're hollow. So they're just map scale. You got a big hole in the bottom so I can put the LED light in there and cure the insides. But
Oh, brilliant.
they map scale, so they'll fit on a 30 mil base. These are level 4 buildings.
Okay.
And then I got some level 5 buildings. So it's like compared to scaled out.
Yep. Gotcha.
And then you have it's like comparatively, it's like you can see the size of a mech too. So
Oh, that's cool.
my brother said, "Yeah, can you do us some buildings?" And I said, "Sure, I can make more buildings." We've got an interesting campaign coming up. I think they want to play in August.
Oh, okay.
I printed off. There's 20 buildings here, and this is the biggest. And this is like a round watchtower type
Oh, that's
thing.
kind of cool. Something different.
And then there's a little power station like thing.
Okay.
And then there's some hab buildings like these.
Cool.
But since they want to play map scale, I don't play map scale. I don't play maps.
What's that mean when you're talking about map scale? I don't know what that means.
Map scale is a mech. You play with hexes.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, this is actual terrain scale. So it's like here's a mech compared to it.
Oh, okay. I see.
So it's more realistic. What this would be a building, where comparatively, it's like a level 4 or 5 building compared to. So obviously, it's a heck of a lot bigger than that. The footprints, we're talking 60 mil, like 2 hexes wide by 2 hexes. So it's a large footprint.
Right. Okay.
And if I can reach it, There's some smaller hab buildings.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Those are cool.
But you can see it right here. That's a big giant hospital.
Oh, right.
You can see how big the big giant building I just showed you. That's even bigger. That's like 7 inches tall. It's huge. So, bigger footprint. So we play. Our group that we play over here, we don't mess with hexes. It's too confining to play.
Yeah, when you're used to playing miniature games,
it's like when you're playing with hexes. It's just like every time I have to go play with my brother's place and they're playing hexes, I'm like, I have to rethink how to play again.
Mm-hmm.
So
looks like we
change
got
up the attack a lot.
Yeah.
Playing up, yeah.
Because then you have to figure out how because there's a difference in how you read terrain with a hex versus because depending on where you're at, it's like a building. It like you're used to playing with terrain, whatever blocks line of sight.
Right.
With a hex, it's not the same way. It doesn't work out that way. So.
Looks like we got Mini Warmut and Bill joined.
Yeah. I saw Bill's popping in for a little bit.
Drink of the night is Appleton Estates, 8 year.
Nice.
Rum. Little bit of rum tonight. A little bit of Caribbean action.
Interesting note, this Stuka kit I'm building.
Yeah.
It's Revel or Revel, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's copyright 1968.
It would be the old AMT kit, probably.
Well, it possibly. It says Revel -monogram, but it could be actually Revel because, I had some AMT kits when I was a kid, and I mean this one could have been It's hard to say. You're right.
Yeah, because I
don't know.
think Revell bought the AMT line, and
But I thought a lot of AMT stuff was like kind of oddball things. They had like construction equipment. They had space stuff.
they had tanks and aircraft too.
Yeah, a lot of, and that's true. I had a couple of their jet planes, but they were like real weird things, like I can't even, like things that didn't even see combat between like the Korean War and Vietnam, and just anyway. But yeah, it could be. Probably got about AMT. Good to be.
So, Palmer.
Just before I go, we've also got Abzal Amangos. It looks like one of your subscribers, Rusty, that's joined the chat.
Maybe you recognize him commenting if you see his name on the comments there. Cool.
And what I have been gaming with is just Old World right now. Like, although I did a little bit of that Saga, I've been playing. I had I think I told you guys about it. I think since our last game, I had a 8,000 point game of Old World. I was a 2 game, and so it was ogres and beastmen. My beastmen versus it was Bretonians and dwarves on the other side. So it's sort of like the baddies versus the goodies, in some ways. And so it was a good game. Yeah, it was
you didn't
fun.
really stand a chance.
What?
Cool.
What's that?
So you're against Bretonians, so I didn't. That's kind of not a fair fight for you, I suppose. Were you able to finish? I thought
that was one where we didn't
finish.
We didn't. Yeah, like it was. We kind of agreed to cut it at, because it was like a full day thing, but we started at like 9:30, and we were gonna just have like a lunch in between, and then stop at 4:30, and we didn't actually finish. It was like too many points, but we stopped in round 4, and it was still good, and it was still fun.
Good,
and there was some good moments in the game, and then I played against the ogres myself since then, like just another game, and I think that's all I've played. But I've been kind of steadily playing Old World and really enjoying it. So from that perspective, that's kind of guiding a lot of my painting. Although I think I showed the Black Orcs on the Musty channel that I did, but what I've been working on is just I am sort of addicted to the Old World painting, and I'm always thinking about the next unit I'm going to paint. Just to be able to use it for gaming and things.
Yeah.
And I love that part. I love starting a new project, but I have like something that I've wanted to do this summer, and I wanted to actually do a sculpt that I 3D printed for my daughter, because she's really big into the, like, since she was a little kid, she's in college now, but she was always into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like when she was younger. And so like her favorite was Donatello, the guy with the staff. And so I'm working on this guy right now. And so
that's awesome.
So I 3D printed this, and I'm working on it. Yeah, and so it's cool. Sort of like she had a good year in university, her first year in university, and I wanted to kind of give her a little kind of gift, that I've made, just for doing well this year and stuff, just to put up on the shelf. And so I'm kind of working on this now. I'm just working on the base paint. I did do some airbrushing underneath the skin, like to do some pre-highlights, but yeah, I have a fair bit of work to still do on it. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. And I shouldn't stop there. So next up, I kind of talked to my channel. I'm going to be working on a number of characters, and so I have like bosses and shamans, like for orcs and goblins. So yeah, I've got like this guy, and I've got this guy, Grimgore, that I'm working on, and I've got this one's for the Beastmen that I've been like really deficient in doing, but this is the Doombull. So really like Minotaur Lord, and I've got a Games Workshop Savage Orc. and I might have showed him in the past when I was building. I built him on one of these shows when I was doing other things, and I 3D printed this guy. This is going to be another boss, but for like big point games, I 3D printed this orc boss, and he's kind of a monster, and I thought it'd be really cool to have him in big games.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's that, and then Musty drink tonight. I've got a couple Rolling Rocks. I brought a backup just in case I finish this one, because I don't know. There's a chance I could. It's probably not likely that I could finish this one on this show, but
You got to pace yourself.
only a chance. It's a slim chance.
Yeah, we'll see what you can do. Do the best you can.
We have faith in you, Palmer. You can do it.
Yeah, you can do this.
So
Unleash the wild.
That's great.
so we have Rusty. Did you want to do the comments real quick
Yeah,
before we went into our
I can do
topic?
that.
I don't know if you thought that'd be a good idea.
Okay,
that
let's
next.
see. Where we last left. It's going to be a good night. I think we were talking about weather then. Off to a great start. Chris said, I'm doing buildings. Be quiet, Tim. So it's 35 there. So yeah, that's mid 90s, isn't it? So it's pretty toasty.
Yeah.
But over there, it's probably kind of humid too, isn't it? Oh, one should not live in North America without AC. I would say I would not live in Iowa without AC.
Yeah, me neither.
Yesterday was 37. Yeah, that's getting up there. It's like we would have had some days where we're up there over 40. So we had a heat index of what? Over the week on Saturday, was it 112, 115 range, something like that?
Yeah, we didn't get quite as bad as that, but it was horrible. Monday was probably our worst day.
Yeah.
Whew. Did you get storms
Then we had the
Monday?
tornado. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
Then we had the tornado blew through Des Moines here. So.
Yeah, I heard kind of somewhere
Yeah.
in Des Moines.
One of our Musty Wargamers, John Ewalt, who's on our group,
Yeah.
Musty Wargamer, tornado went right by his house.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
So he said he didn't realize that he had tornado go by his house. It was like it went by fast. It was fast moving.
Yeah, there was about 30 miles north of me. There was baseball-sized hail. I saw a guy on Facebook holding it up. It was massive.
Yeah.
I was cutting the hay. It got really dark, but it didn't rain. So
there was a lot of people that were sharing photos of their cornfields that were shredded right down to the ground.
yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't
man.
take much when it's like that big.
Yeah. I remember getting a few weeks of 40 Celsius in Ottawa Valley without AC and hiding in the basement with a fan probably going too. It's like, I'm melting.
Yeah, that's brutal. During the day isn't so bad, but like Palmer said, at night,
When you're trying to sleep.
it's just tough. And then if you can't get sleep for a couple of nights, then you get kind of grumpy.
Yeah, that was when I used to work at Heinz. It would be, we get those 100 plus heat days, and inside it would be all the steam coming off of the cookers and everything. So you're talking 120 inside.
Oh,
And it would be
That's brutal.
95 outside. You'd step out and you're like, oh God, it's so cold out here. You got
Me and my
so used to,
delivery truck. Yeah.
you get so used to the heat.
yeah.
Just picked up an 8-year-old Dwarves Slayer miniature. Oh yeah. I was watching a game where they were playing Chaos Dwarves versus Dwarves.
How did that go?
The Dwarves won.
Oh, I heard
Yeah.
that the Chaos Dwarves are pretty good because of some of the monstrous creature kind of stuff that they have. Like they have some extra things, right? Like
Yep.
you have all that stuff, like the Bulgors and like the big stuff, like that you can. But they also have the artillery, right?
Yeah, they have war machines that are pretty nasty that act like massive chariots with cannons on them. So they can blast things and run you over.
I don't know. I mean, I play against dwarves a lot, but so I understand the ruins and the things that they have, like the special shenanigans. But I don't know how that compares to the chaos dwarves. I'm assuming that the regular dwarves have some things that the chaos dwarves don't have in order to make them, unique and things. And so I'm assuming that they have ruins, and some of it's captured in that. I know the dwarf king is like pretty tough. I mean, like some of the models in the dwarven, like he's pretty tough in hand-to-hand combat to go against.
Well, so have you did you any of you guys look at the new dwarf announcement? As far as the new faction.
Other than that video I shared with you, that was from.
Yep.
That he did a breakdown of what was coming.
Any thoughts on that, or?
I think I have a lot of what they showed is coming out, so I wasn't sure if there's anything I might need for my dwarves.
Okay.
Other than more of them, they're kind of spendy for point cost to begin with. They're on par with you're talking 10 plus 12 points or something like that per model.
Yeah, the model count's usually a little lower.
Yeah.
For them compared to some others, like definitely lower than my beastmen in most cases. Having said that, with chaos, you could play an elite army too with low model count. But
yeah.
And we got Bill that just popped in to say hi. My wife just got the new Wormspan board game today. Yeah, I've seen that where he said that they were going to play that tonight.
I've played Wingspan. That's a fun game. And it's supposed to be based on that. I mean, mechanic wise. It's a fun board game.
Let's see. Sweet Summer Child, strap in for some battle tech talk. Oh, yeah. Drink. Yep. Oh, it's always nice when someone falls asleep to my videos.
But in a good way.
In a good way. It's like
sort of like you got like a Barry White style of dialogue.
Why, thank you.
It's Barry White does what is it? The Inner Sphere. Barry White and the BattleTech Inner Sphere.
Yeah. That's the finest compliment.
Old world for life. Yeah, it's like breaking out the old world. Bill and I laugh at your hot temps. That's a dry heat down there. Yeah, it's like we hit the 100, 110, but then we have 60, 70% humidity. That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
All right, we're caught up with all the comments.
Good job.
All right. Well, shall I introduce the topic?
Yeah, you're the one that had the first topic.
All right. Well, what I have here is, has patience and game length, the length of games, changed over time in wargaming? How much time are you able or willing to dedicate to a game? And how does it affect what you choose to play or the games you choose to play? I know that there's lots of shorter skirmish games. Like, we talk about that a lot. I guess the question is to what degree has the types of games that are being released moved in the sense of crunchiness and game length time? And has the dial moved for the general public for tabletop wargaming specifically, and what they expect and what they're willing to give as far as time to it? And I put patience in there because in some ways that's a judgment in the question, but in some ways I think that some of it could be about patience. And so for you guys, what do you guys think on that?
Anybody want to go first? Or want some of this to lack lyrical?
Sorry, I'm gluing a gun onto my wing.
Well, I'll just go throw a little bit out there and while you guys are thinking. The big thing I've always noticed is that a lot of the younger crowd nowadays, their attention span seems to be wanting shorter and shorter time period type games. They want it, or they think that anything that lasts more than 2 hours or so is like forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least my experience so far. Now, I'm more than happy to dedicate 6-8 hours to a game if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was playing, let's say, War Machine or Hordes, if you dedicated 2 or 3 hours to the game, that's fine. That's more than enough to play a game. But if it's a BattleTech game, I'd rather stick 8 hours at it if necessary to get it.
I got a question for you, Rusty, just to probe that comment.
Yeah.
When you say you're willing to do it and for a specific game, how much percentage of your game days would you allow it to be that long? Is it that you would do it when necessary and at times, or would you do that all the time?
For me, time isn't really a constraint. So most of us seem to, 6 hours would be happy. But now if we're going to the shop, game shop or something, 6 hours is really pushing the time period. So most people are wanting something done in 2 or 3 hours, especially if they're showing up at 6 o'clock at night to play a game. They want it done in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you think that the game, in your opinion, do you think that the industry has changed along those lines?
Yeah, I do think so. It's I think a lot of it is that they're tapping into the goldfish mentality of today's society.
Always eating.
I would think some of it too is just what I don't know if it's caused by the saturation of the miniature, hobby. As far as there's no question. I would say at the present there are probably more games, miniature lines, rule sets than ever. Probably, right? I mean,
yeah,
I would venture to say. And so when you do that, or if you're going to bring out a game, unless it's something that's just, it would have to really draw attention, like say the old world, because of they're drawing from nostalgia, they're drawing from a history that the game already had, things like that. Are you going to be able to attract enough interest? Even people that are retired, or like Rusty said, time's not a serious concern or restraint, you still, there's a million other games you could play, and there's a million other things in life you could do. Because it definitely looks like the rule sets in general that get introduced now are, small figure count. There even seems like more of the games are even focusing more towards a 3x3 foot square table, or 3x4, 4x4 is about, and it's all for those reasons, because you don't have to spend. I mean, if you're passionate about it and you got a group that's passionate about it and that's what you want to do, but to get all those things to line up is going to be, you're cutting your market options down as far as who would be interested. I mean, if some little skirmish World War II game comes out, I can use the miniatures I've got. I might pick up the rules and bam, you're off and running. But if somebody wants to introduce, a game where you're, needing, regiments on each side, regiments of 24, maybe let's say you need eight of those just to get kind of a good, that's a good starting point. Then that's a pretty big investment. and you could say, well, in the old days, why was that more popular? And I think part of it is just because there was less to choose from. So I mean, you're more likely to find people that would invest into, ACW on a large scale, or Napoleonics on a large scale, or whether you're doing 15, 20, or 28 millimeter. But whether it's because the world possibly moves faster now, or the social media, I think it's all those things. And so the gaming industry is definitely focusing towards skirmish style games. Also, they're taking less of a risk. A rule set, of course, is a rule set. It doesn't cost anymore. But if you're needing to sell miniatures, say burros and badgers, there you go. Anybody could you could take terrain that you've got, probably generic terrain. Takes what, maybe I don't know if they say like a 3x3 foot is kind of the gaming space, and you could paint up a warband of, depending on what you pick, 6 to 10 miniatures, and you're running, and you wouldn't have much time or money invested. For me personally, and maybe it's because of old schoolness, or just my background and history in the hobby, and just the way I perceive things in general. That doesn't bother me. I'm patient. Not if it's something I'm excited about or interested in or whatever, that's what I'm going to choose. I'm less drawn to the really small skirmish games, like, with 6 to 10 miniatures. They intrigue me, and I like the ones that you level up and your warband grows, and that does intrigue me. But just the generally smaller type, even some of the rule sets that are kind of focusing on large scale combat, but you're using only, a handful of miniatures as a unit, or however they want to do it. That doesn't necessarily, either I want to go, big and do the large mass battle thing, or, I don't want to sort of cut that short, or it's not the same experience, in my opinion. But yeah, so I don't know. I think in general, it has focused more towards that, and I think it's for large or smaller scale games. Yeah, and I think it's for those reasons, at least to some extent.
Yeah, I find it's like you look at like Games Workshop is a good example, where they have their Age of Sigmar, but they also have smaller skirmish style games coming out now that use the same miniatures. So
yeah, all kinds of 40K skirmish type games, or 30K, or I don't even know what they are, but they're all these where you've got
the kill team.
There's tons of them, I think.
Yeah, they're catering to the individuals that want to play a smaller game that takes less time.
Yeah, less investment, time and money.
Time is an investment that a lot of
100%.
people don't want to,
or unable, or whatever, but they could still play, So it makes sense, because there are plenty of large, mass battle type rules sets out there that are even live, let alone ones if you want to dig up some that have, moved to the graveyard, if you want to go that way. So, but I could see why that's not a focus for many companies at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, a good example is, all right, if you go to the game shop on a weekday night, you may only have that 2-3 hours, maybe 3 hours of time to play that evening. So I can see where someone would only want to have a smaller skirmish style game for that night.
Yeah, plus you can carry all the miniatures in some little box and off you go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to travel
now,
around.
If I'm showing up on the weekend, I might show up at, say, the shop opens up at 10 o'clock, and the doors open up, and you walk in and you start playing, and they don't close the doors until 8 or 9 o'clock that night. Time isn't necessarily a problem then. That's
Yeah,
where you can play the larger scale games.
as long as they let you park on one of their tables that long. I suppose they like it. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't mind. I've never found a game shop that's
Something
already-
going on they like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. It gives life.
If you are playing on their tables and it's advertisement for what they sell.
Yeah,
They're
well, it
happy.
creates interest in, and it looks like this place is going on. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. They want
Well,
people.
that actually
showing
could
up.
be a big barrier because a lot of the games we're talking about that take a really long time. I mean, some of them are games that are not the latest ones because for the reasons we're talking about, a lot of the latest ones are moving towards shorter game length, I think, and more accessible for time and money and lots of things. Attention span.
Yeah, the 40K now is you could burn a game in less than 2 hours at 40K.
Uh-huh.
It's designed to be just a quick, fast moving.
Okay.
Everything dies at a heartbeat. It's almost like a Fistful of Miniatures style game now. So, for those that know what that system is like. But if you got somebody that wants to play, I remember we used to go show up on, I don't know, if we haven't seen Mel in here in forever, but we would show up at the game store and play like Napoleonics or American Civil War or something of that nature, where you could just sit down and play for hours and hours and hours, and everybody would have, we're just playing, all day, and they didn't mind that. It's like they were happy to see us playing.
Yeah, I figured, but I didn't know. I don't play in. I've never played in a game shop. I guess.
How about your thoughts, Tim?
Oh, well, obviously, you have to change with the times, and you have to evolve and adjust your business models to the technology and stuff that exists today. And I think with technology and the way it affects our society, everything is kind of quicker. Your research is quicker, your answers are quicker, your research is done quicker, everything is like right at our fingertips. And I think these young people today, and it's not like you can blame them, because they have to exist in the world that they find themselves. And it's not the world that we were young in, it's the world that they are young in. And so if you're going to survive as a company, that's your future. These people that are being influenced a particular way in their lifestyles and in the way they perceive the way things should be, you're going to get smaller, quicker, finish it now, not finish it 3 weeks from now. And a lot of it has to do a lot of times with it's like that it's like a crossover from RPGs, where you develop this character or something, and it's almost like where when big battle games, we think of things in large numbers, not as individuals. Okay, well, in our society today, a lot of everything that's being done is very individualistic. So these games will mirror that, in that they're smaller. You can give each one of you, say you got, say, max 10 guys in your squad or your team or whatever. Each one could have an identity and a history. It's very RPG, where you can make whole backstories for every one of your models. And I could see where some people would find that very appealing. And then you take that backstory, You put it on a table, you play a game out in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then you're off to that next thing that you're doing. And that lifestyle that they live of going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, it satisfies them. Where with me and my generation, say I've been playing my buddy the last couple of weeks with some English Civil War stuff, and he left to go on a trip. Well, it's still sitting on my table for us to finish when he gets back, because it's not going anywhere. You know, it's not going to be messed with by anybody. So, and it's all my miniatures anyway, so it's just sitting on the table. Yep. And wait until he gets back, and we'll just finish it. Now, I know a lot of young people that would be like, "Oh God, how do you do that?" Well, you just have to be in a different place in your head with your space and how you experience time. And like these young people today, in one way I envy them, for they'll be around maybe to see the next big change in history. But I also feel sad for them because they're being deprived of that patience that Palmer, that taking your time, that savoring the event,
savoring the moment.
Yeah, I remember
smelling the roses.
Yeah, I remember being at a tournament, actually an old Warhammer tournament, and I was trying to tell the kids, the young people there that were in their 30s, you know, I was trying to convince them and get them to understand that what's really great about this is not who's going to win this tournament, and it's not about how well you did or how poorly you did. You'll remember the quirky things, and the people. This is what we'll remember. This is the thing that's really going to be important. Because 10 or 15 years from now, when you're telling a story or you run into somebody that you used to game with years ago and you sit down and talk about it, you're not going to be bragging about I won such and such a gaming tournament. You're going to say, wasn't so and so funny? Wouldn't that, didn't he paint his armies to a beautiful standard? And you'll talk about everything except
who won.
And I think it's kind of a hard concept for youth to understand, that it's more about all of us being together doing a thing than it is who wins the thing. You know, it'd be pretty cool, but in the long run, it really is not going to change anybody's life that much. You know, it's really not. And so we can.
If it does, then that's bad.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been in tournaments where you thought that this was live or die, and I felt really bad for some of those kids. I mean, you could see how upset they were when the dice, which is why would you? It's a random thing. Don't get too emotionally attached to this. It's one day you'll be fine, and the next day you can't do anything. Get over it. But I think as companies grow, they have to do this. But what I will say, in my aged old eyes, and what I've seen in other endeavors, is that there's always a coming together, and then there's a disassembly of that which came together into its individual parts.
Order and chaos.
Well, no, it's not chaos. It's not that. It's very natural for humans.
Chaos is natural.
We come together and there's this holistic thing. And then what happens within that large endeavor, whatever it is, whether it's gaming or work or whatever, there will be people that will be very good at very specific parts of whatever that thing is. And what they'll want to do then is they'll think, well, I don't want to do all those other parts that I'm bad at. I'm going to be an expert in just this tiny little square of it. And they'll pull that out and go do that. Well, there'll be a lot of people that'll say, I'm going to go do this tiny little square thing. Instead of spending a lifetime trying to learn everything, I'm going to learn just this one thing. And then somebody else will break apart and do something. And then somebody else will break apart. And then this is where we are with gaming. We're saying, okay, you're either rank and flank or you're skirmish, when they're actually part of the same thing. I argue this all the time. I've argued this, I know, 3 times since I've joined this podcast.
Yeah.
That it is a pet peeve. It is all the same. It is, you are connected.
Now we're getting into Taoism.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, that probably wouldn't. You have a big martial arts background. Maybe you wouldn't disagree.
That does. I mean, it does. I guess you could say it taints my vision of things, because I look for that kind of stuff and I observe it often. And you watch things that come together and then fall apart, and then they come together as something else, and then that'll fall apart into its individual components, and then they become a thing. And sometimes those little individual things, they grow, and then they get picked apart, where there's even a subset of that thing. So I'm sure I had a point here, and in my old feeble mind, I think I've lost my point. But the thing is, I understand skirmish games and their place in the gaming world today. Is it my go-to? No. Do I like them as part of larger scenarios? Most assuredly. Most assuredly. I think that they are absolutely important when you're talking about scouting missions and sabotage and raids, and all that goes back to maybe to some pre-planned, well, whatever happens here, it's going to affect whatever happens there. So you really have a large, important part in the entire gaming situation. So I'm a big believer of inclusion and in both things. I will preach it until my dying day, and that this need to say you need to get rid of this or you need to get rid of that, which we'll talk about that video from that individual whom I disagree with totally.
And I don't want to step on because we do have another topic tonight, and I do have to sort of.
I'm done. I think I've said what I needed to say.
Well, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, in my comment, I'm going to kind of refer to something that might bleed into the next topic a little bit, but it's just I don't see any way around it, just because.
Right.
Because we're talking game mechanics too, like when we're talking about this, and like from my perspective, I think you guys had really good comments. I mean, like I do agree the industry is changing, and in many respects, it's getting. Like a lot of times when new things come out that people like, it just can broaden the pie, right? Like it can make the pie bigger of choices. And then like, you might have more people playing and it's not a bad thing. And I think we're all kind of, none of us are saying like, oh, we're Musty and like all that new stuff like that came out, is bad, like you play Bolt Action, Dan, like, like there's aspects to that are different than the old school retro games, like we all can name a game that we're playing probably to some degree that, is influenced that we like. And I like these kinds of games, too. Like I talked about X-Wing, let's say, that and how elegant of a game it is and how I can play it within a defined period of time. And like the aspects of it that I like. why I kind of suggested this topic was because I heard a comment about the I go you go system of games, and I'm playing Old World right now, and I also like old school games too. And when there, there's thoughts that like that's just, you shouldn't do that anymore. Like it should just always be, excuse me, not the I go you go, but the opposite. Where the I go you go. I'm getting confused now. So like the I go you go, where you don't get to do alternate activation and you're both not moving units like right after each other.
Right.
A lot of people feel that should just be the standard, like the old school way of doing it. Like it was just dumb. Like, you just shouldn't do that because you just, people don't like to wait. And like, why would you want to just sit there and watch the other person play? And, granted, I mean, like even in an I go, you go system, there can be lots of things that you would do even when you're not the active player. And then also I feel as if there's a fair bit of participation even in your opponent's turn just to make sure we're playing the scenario right and and we're doing things correctly. Like, there's usually a consultation that's just ongoing in my experience to some degree. And so I don't feel as if I'm completely out of it in an I go you go game. You know what I mean? Like in those kind of situations. But I do understand.
Yeah.
Like the first time I played Bolt Action, I love the random activation in the I go you go. I mean, it was a great change, and I really enjoy it, and I do to this day enjoy it in certain games. But then to some degree, when I just kind of heard the whole like that should just not be done anymore, I kind of thought to myself like,
I know.
I feel as if like the image of the person that feels that just no game should be made that's of the old style or played that's the old style in the I go you go. It's just like this stereotype of this person that can't stop moving their eyes and fidgeting and just like needs to be doing something at every second. Like if I'm not playing myself, then I'm not having fun. Like if I'm not moving my miniature, then I'm not having fun. Like at that moment. And to me, like the game is so much more than that. Like, like trying like that like basically getting into the narrative, of course we always talk about, but just kind of like sitting back and even thinking about your turn and while you're observing what your opponent's doing. There's so much more that goes on in like a traditional game, even in an I go you go environment that's engaging. And so I just thought it was interesting. Like, I know it's not true when you think of stereotypes that like that. I know that not everybody that feels they prefer that style of game, is somebody that, can't actually hold themselves still. But at the same time, I started to ask myself if like there is a general consensus among some people that should just never be done. Is that kind of part of the society of it? Is it that we are less patient to some degree? Is it that we have less time? But then Tim said something, and I may have misunderstood him, but I think I got a really good point out of what he said, whether this was his intention or not. When you were talking about like role-playing games, Tim, I feel that the younger generations are willing at times in certain things to spend lots of time on something. Video games, role-playing games, and role-playing games. Like role-playing games are not the same as video games, because I can get sucked into a video game too. Like I know what that's like. I know how hours can just pass really long time. But then also role-playing games, that's actually kind of like a traditional war game in some ways. Like if you're playing a role-playing game where you're really getting into the narrative, like, and just spending lots of time on something, dialogue and just like solving things and just sitting around, like spending lots of time and appreciating something. In a lot of ways, it's a different way of enjoying. It's the same way of enjoying something that's different. Does that make sense? Like you're kind of like spending lots of time. Like you're not doing that quick. Like I need to be doing something every second, and like you're not necessarily. And so I don't know. I thought it was an interesting topic.
Having it
because
taking the time and patience to have a narrative or dialogue in your game can make it interesting too. So
and it also, to me, like I'm not so sure that if it is true that the tabletop wargamer, today's average tabletop wargamer, that's probably the average might be younger than us. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't have the statistics, but if that's true, it may be that person wants to actually get a game done quicker and like wants things to roll on and off. But I'm not sure that every type of gamer and every type of younger person wants all of their activities that way. You're actually, like this kind of broadens out a bit, but like Rusty, you're into astronomy. There are a lot of young people into astronomy. Astronomy is a patience kind of hobby in the way I look at it too. Like, like there's lots of patience and time spent to achieve something, and it's totally different than gaming. But like, I don't think that all, people of younger generations have no patience. Like, I'm not actually saying that, because I actually think there's plenty of things that I see young people do that require patience.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. Like, it just, maybe that's the way tabletop gaming is going very specifically. I don't know.
Well, I would say too, perhaps there's more people playing tabletop games now, even I'm talking younger people, than would have, because you can engage in these skirmish, quick hour, hour and a half games.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think that's possible? Like,
Yes.
they're not maybe as passionate. Like they are going to paint these large armies, or spend 4 nights a week painting in their basement or whatever, whether they had the time or not. But it's allowing entrance for these people that and they're intrigued with it, or it's fun. It's like everything that you do or that you enjoy doesn't have to be like you're obsessed with it. And so I think it does allow, because of the game systems that are out there now, which are more common, these smaller skirmish type games, shorter, quicker, bloody, and you're done type games, which they all aren't. I'm generalizing, but I think that does draw in some of these people that perhaps wouldn't even be miniature gamers at all.
Right.
So I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think a lot of the younger crowd, their first experience with games is video games, where like first-person shooter type stuff, where it's nonstop action. And
Right.
they want things done quick and fast. That's their.
Well, but again, we're generalizing saying that. That's
Well,
like saying
I got
all
a
old
kid that
people want to
plays.
sit there and in the recliner and they watch Gunsmoke and they it's what I'm saying though. I mean, because I always think anytime I catch people my generation talking about the young people these days, similar things essentially were said about us when we were kids, and I know that for a fact. Maybe not that we didn't have video games. I get that, but it was. I mean, they used to farm with horses, and now everything is. We're just going 100 miles an hour, and we're cranking out with this big equipment. And people lament how it used to be, and it was slower paced, and the kids didn't know how to work the hours, and they don't have the focus, and they're not self-disciplined. I mean, they said that about us.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are kids and adults and people our generation and people when our parents were kids that had all these same things. We're exposed to new technologies, and the world has changed, but it was changing each generation. It's changing,
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to be careful when we try to draw conclusions broad, because that's human nature to want to put things in boxes, instead of having a sliding scale. It's all
Right.
it's black and white. We like to sort. You like to look at something that's good. I like that, or I don't like that. This is quality. This is junk. And anyway, off my soapbox. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think it's hard. Like I kind of, leave a lot of my comments open-ended and also asking questions in some of them too, just because I do think that sociological components are, I don't feel qualified to make vast statements about like, the way like a certain generation's going or the way certain things are changing. But it's all based on our personal observations, and just, and even just how things have just changed over time. I mean, like even just the advent of and we've talked about it on the show before, but like just when you talk about the change in the internet and the phone, like even the phone and the way it's changed, folks, including us, it definitely changes expectations on things. But yeah, no, it's interesting. So
it is fun to think about.
Yeah. And I don't think this day and age, like, I don't think there is too much defending of the old clunky games. And I think like in the Musty Wargamers show, sometimes just exploring the way something was done and enjoyed in the past and what was good about it. You know what I mean? So, because sometimes what I was thinking of, and I didn't say in my answer, is like, you don't always want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, by saying that, like, we don't, like, it's all like, we like these kinds of games now, we shouldn't even make those anymore. Sometimes you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Like, you're getting something good and new game mechanics that are progressive in certain ways, that are fun and, original. But sometimes the old alternative is just that. It's still an alternative that actually is also good, and, maybe you could say just for certain people, but in a theoretical way, because it offers something different, it's an alternative that also has its own kind of value.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, and there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, it's for people to decide what they like. I mean, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
We're not trying to put man on the moon and there's somebody's life's in the balance. I mean, if you enjoy
in a lot of these questions, all this stuff's first world problems, but at the same time, that's kind of what this show's about. This is about miniature wargaming.
100%. And sometimes
first world problems.
Right. And it's fun to sort through those sometimes, because sometimes you don't know why you like what you like, and sometimes it's just fun to try to track that down. Why am I drawn to that and not this? And but like you said, it's all first world problems, and the world will continue to spin no matter what we do. But
how when we look at our bookshelf and all the rule sets we have on them, and how like how many more we want to get, or like why we have all of these, the whole thing's a first world problem.
Oh no!
For sure.
Yeah, 100%.
We go over some comments.
That sounds good.
We got a few come in here. All right, let's see. I like games that are 2 to 4 hours. I hate anything under an hour. I find that some of the games that go so quickly is that you're just starting to feel like you're playing and it's already over.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to invest some time into something, I want it to last for a while. I really don't have more than 2 hours to game anymore. Second kid on the way. Oh, what are these kids things?
Got to figure out where that's coming from,
Yeah, it's like all of us sitting here. Our kids are like either left the nest or about ready to leave the nest, right, Palmer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's true. One of mine has, and one's basically in college. Gonna be in college at home next year. But still, they're all getting up there. Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a big difference. Is like I remember having that problem. It's like back in the 90s when before my son was born, I had plenty of time to game. And then when he was born, I was like, okay, now I made an agreement with my wife. It's like, I'm going to go game on, now it's only like twice in 2 or whatever, it's like, otherwise you're spending time at home, helping take care of the kids and stuff. But you have to make arrangements for such things.
Yeah. Well, I always found that when my son wasn't home, and I was involved in a lot of things, and then trying to get in some gaming and stuff like that. That I think if you really like something, it helps you organize your life.
Yeah.
Like as long as you have a sense of responsibility. Now we all know people out there that will jettison their children at the first chance and go off and do whatever they want to do. And if you organize and say, look, and you know, the kids have got to know that, you know, dad's going to do this on Saturday, you know, but you got a plan to make sure that those kids are, you know, are taken care of during the week. And that, you know, if, and, you know, a lot of times with my work, I was never there to take them to places, but you got to organize rides. You can't, you really have to make them that priority. And when you do that, you will find those 2 hours, 3, 4 hours, or maybe that one big long afternoon to where you can actually get in some gaming and stuff. But it's something that takes work. It does take work, and but it also takes compromise, and everybody has to find value in what everyone is doing, and it makes
many times where there's a reason why there's game tables down here. Is that okay? I got to take care of the kids, and it's like when my son was younger. It's like, yeah, dad's gonna be playing a game here. You can watch, or you can sit over here in the corner playing your games yourself. And eventually, he plays games with me still to this day. You know, he's still involved with it, not as often. You know, it's like his girlfriend takes more precedence now. Obviously, you know.
Well, yeah, well, you know, hormones.
Yeah. Those are important
hormones
things too.
Trump dice every time.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you just have to make time. You have to schedule things around certain things or get them involved. That was one of the best things that ever happened. Is it's when my kids decided to learn how to play RPGs. And we were playing Dungeons and Dragons with my kids when they were young age with our little group. So that was a nice little thing. It's like and to this day, my daughter still plays D&D, and my son still plays. We still play board games with my daughter and my son. You know, so it's still a family thing.
Well, that's great. That
yeah,
actually, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. It really is.
You just have to instill into them when they're young that this is an important aspect of living.
This is what this family does.
Yes, we play. We play hard. I think you have to have better stories and war stories than games over 2. When games are over 2 hours, yeah. It's like I always enjoy when we have some type of narrative. You were brought up earlier about some people don't understand how you can set up a table. It's like our BattleTech campaign games that played over 6 months period. The table was up for 6 months. You just come back to it. You don't put it away. You don't do anything. You just set it, let it sit there, and you come back to it. You just pick it right up where you left off.
Well, and you know, going back to what Palmer said about being engaged in a game, even though it's not your activation, it's not your turn.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the things that isn't talked about enough, it's the actual part of you being in a room with other human beings engaged in an activity. It's not just, well, I want to do something. It's being in the room with that other person. You know, you may not be doing something physically, but mentally you should be engaged in this because you're going to have to respond
exactly
whatever the situation is. And larger games can be very complex. There can be a lot of things to have to remember. Small scale games, I think they lend themselves to that sort of random activation and play styles that are well, I don't say non-structured, where everything is, like which unit gets to go next, and it's random, and you just pull things out of the hat or a bag or whatever. Small scale games, I can see that, where you've got maybe 15 to 20, 25 models on the table, and and each one of them has their own specific skill set and all those sort of, special forces-esque type games. Because that's exactly what we're talking about here. Everybody wants to have they're playing special forces when you're playing these small skirmish games. And when they grew up watching movies about special forces and superhumans and heroic type individuals all by themselves doing stuff. So obviously this is how they want their tabletop experience to play out. I grew up in an age where we watched movies and stuff about World War II, or ancient history or stuff like that, where they talked about thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the battlefield and stuff. We watched things about the American Civil War, and in our minds, if we wanted to play something on the table, that's the form in which it took. So there's a lot of societal education of our youth that have given them that desire for those smaller games as well. Now, can you say, well, this is better than that, and these things should go, and these things? That's very totalitarian, if you ask me. That's it's like, why would you cut out that option? Okay, and if we're going to jump into this, and I will voice my opinion about his video, that if there's something about a game you don't like, change it. If you don't like the activations, change it. There's no hard rule that says you got to follow everything that's in a book. No one's going to come to your house and say, oh, you can play by the numbers, and I will give you an example. A buddy and I, we're playing that ECW stuff, and we're using Hail Caesar. One of my pet peeves with Hail Caesar are the orders phase, where you got to roll for either individual units or a division. And if you fail, then you do nothing. I don't particularly like that, because I've had several games of Hail Caesar where it was just mind-numbingly boring if you fail too many of those. You you have a whole division that sits there and does nothing. So what I did, I told the buddy, and I said, we're going to use a D12, which I think also D12, because I think it's the best, right? That's just personal opinion.
Must be
Somebody
Rusty.
you cutting something, Rusty?
Sanding or cutting.
Oh, you're standing. Okay, you might want to hit mute for a second there.
I can learn that
It's so
noise.
loud.
I'm
like
scraping
construction going
bones.
over
of my
He's like,
enemies.
it's like, I don't want to hear Tim talk anymore.
We're gonna drown him out.
We're gonna drown him out with sanding.
I'm scraping the bones of my enemies.
Wow. Making a little
concrete.
pate, are we? Out of their bone dust?
Pate.
It's called. There's a reason I got Tomb Kings for my army.
there.
There you go.
But yeah.
Okay.
I totally agree. Should we move on
to
to the next topic then?
One thing I just wanted to just point out, though, that Tim pointed out that I thought was cool in some ways. When you talked about, when you made this sound kind of like a really entitled kid saying, I want to play something. When do I get to go? You were doing an example, mimicking something like that.
That's kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like
when you actually when you can't be patient, for your opponent's turn. The question I have is, if you really like a game, how many of you could just go and watch a game between two friends and have a good time, not even play, but just like watch the whole thing happen?
I've
we used to do that all the time.
100%.
There used to be in our group where we met at the house, there would be maybe 4 people playing and 8 people just hanging out, talking smack and heckling the hell out of the players and making fun of their dice rolling and having a good time.
Because if you can
order up some food, and chit chat, and just have fun.
If you can watch a game and feel like you're almost getting a little bit of a fix, like from the game you really like just being there and seeing the rules played and watching how it's going. If you can do that, then chances are you're not the type of person that can't wait a bit, like while your opponent's turn to play.
I know.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just it's not that I don't enjoy those other mechanics, because I think you could apply those sort of activation mechanics into any game, but to say that you want to see things done away with, or you think they shouldn't be done anymore, that's a level of I don't know, self-importance.
Yeah, a little bit of arrogance. Arrogance comes
a little arrogant. It's like
when
did you get voted Grand Poobah to tell everybody else what mechanics should stay and what mechanics should go, and
like Palmer says, I mean, to make a big stand, comments like some of those people make about things like that, I'm like, that's like embarrassingly first world country problem. I mean, that's just like, that's something you're gonna get like agitated about. Oh my gosh, really? With all the things going on in the world, that's the thing that gets in your craw.
And like I said, if you don't like it, don't do it. Change it.
Don't tell me how to have fun, right? Or how to paint my plastic soldiers.
And like it's silly.
It's a hobby.
There's an aspect of every game that we play that we kind of look at it and go, I'm not so sure I like that so much, but it's part of the game, But if it was really something that the group looked at and said, this is really slowing it down, or this is really
not very
kind
realistic,
of unfun for everyone,
change it.
Just change it. I could actually, one thing that what I do love about Hail Caesar is that it was designed around the idea of the what do they call that? The umpire. In historical, they call that the umpire, the guy that brings out all the oddities and says, oh yeah, by the way, this unit is now going over here, and and changes things up. Mm-hmm. And that allows that sort of kind of freedom to make those changes. Mm-hmm. Like again, I'll finish my example and then I'll shut up for a while. In the Hail Caesar game that we're playing, I decided that since the first game we played, it was slow, it was kind of boring, and nothing really happened because we kept failing order rolls. Okay. Well, so what I did was I said, we'll just use a die 12 to roll to see whether you blunder your roll or not. If you play Hail Caesar, you know that there's a blunder table, and the level of your leadership will dictate the percentage basically of how often you will possibly blunder. So if you're say you're an 8, so and kind of your average leadership was like 7 or 8. So I said, well, okay, an 8 you'll blunder on an 11 or 12. But if you're a 7, you blunder on a 10, 11, or a 12. Well, if you know about Hail Caesar, the further away you are, the more of a reduction there is for every 12 inches of your leadership, your ability to get your orders off successfully. So if you're within 12 inches and your leader is an 8, then he bases his leadership off of that. But you get outside that, then it's 1 less. So now he operates as if he's a 7. So
Right.
I set it up was that as your units are further or further away and you're trying to get them to do something, the more likely it is that blunder is going to happen. But if the blunder doesn't happen, your orders pass. But then we also roll a die 3 for that random movement that is really kind of an important aspect of their orders phase, is that random movement. You don't automatically get to go the full 3 moves. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. So I left that in play. So it moved the game along a lot quicker. Like I said, we've got it set up. We got through 4 turns, and it went by fairly quickly. And I actually blundered a couple of times, which really torqued me off. I said, I come up with this thing, and I got to be the first one to blunder.
Yeah, worked a little too good.
Yeah, worked a little too good. But again, if there's something you don't like, sit down, think about it for a moment. Can you work around it? Can you keep the very essence of the game, but just kind of tweak that mechanic a little bit? Just tweak it a little bit to where, like with us, it was about the pace. We wanted action. We wanted to keep it moving and keep it, but yet keep that randomness, and then keep the possibility of blundering your orders and having things go wrong for you. We wanted to keep that in there. So I think we got a good balance with that. But again, if there's no rule that says we had to do anything, or we could change the whole thing up. I don't think Rick Priestley's going to come to my house and say, "Don't you do that?"
So I think
it's going to happen. So
on that note from Tim about how you could just do whatever you want. We're at 9:48, so about an hour and 48 minutes in, and I did actually finish the first beer. It took me that long. I think that was actually pretty admirable, but I just decided I'm going to pop another one open because he's saying I could do whatever I want.
That's right. Do whatever you want. Change those rules up. Chug that. Hey, chug it like a man.
Why am I even counting?
That's right.
Why am I even counting?
Don't even count.
Well, speaking of stuff, let's finish some of these comments here real quick. Clyde says, I'd rather get a couple short games than slowly lose a 6-hour game. Get 2 3-hour games in and lose both.
And that I mean, to me, that's just based on the person, right? And like we've done whole talks on competition versus narrative, and what we like and this and that. Like, some of my best games are the games that I lose as long as I feel like I had a chance.
Yeah.
As long as to me, that's the key. That's the key. Yeah. If it's a game that I really like, and if I feel like I had a chance, that it was, then I'm usually good.
I really love those games that kind of, you get back and forth, and it comes down to that last turn, and that's memorable. Those are fun experiences.
Yeah.
And that silver bayonet thing, if I was going to do like a skirmish style, but it's in that Napoleonic era, kind of quirky, boy, that does sing to me somehow. I mean, you got vampires and werewolves, and then you got your Napoleonic troops running around with silver bullets in their muskets and bayonets and crosses. And I've read some stuff about it, and I think, man, it kind of checks that historical, but yet it reminds me of all the movies that I watched growing up on like a Saturday morning. Those really cheesy werewolf, vampire, mummy movies. Even Abbott and Costello meet the mummy and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, all that. It reminds me of that in that campish sort of way. And that's a skirmish game, and I have no problem with that. Think about that connected in some way to some large Napoleonic battle, where you weave that story in, and whatever happens in that has some sort of detrimental effect on the big battle too. I mean, it's a connected storyline stuff that I just don't think's done enough, really. I mean, I think players just kind of, I just going to do this thing here or this thing here. God, I think we're just giving up on the magic of gaming. It's such a great thing. It's social. It's cerebral. It's artistic. Not autistic, but artistic. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes the way I play, I think I'm autistic. It's got so much to it. It's so much to it. And I just hate to see anyone want to slice pieces off that pie just because, that's not their flavor. Well, this other person, let's again, bring things together some more. Let's stop chopping things out and just I thought in this day and age, me talking about inclusion would be just right up everybody's alley. But
and I think we're all in agreement with that. I mean, like, even when we show, in all honesty, I don't care if the Age of Sigmar players want to still play that. I don't really like it, but I'm not saying to stop it altogether. And so I'll throw out something out there that I have no interest in, and that's Age of Sigmar. But there are plenty of people that love it for lots of different reasons, and I'm glad they brought the old world back, but there's that for the people that like that, right? And so I think we all seem to be mostly on the same page. I think. With that.
Yeah.
I think
so. It's I don't know. It's getting close. Do we want to just kind of go through the comments and finish off this topic for tonight's show, Rusty, or do you want and save for the next one yours, or what are you thinking?
Well, we could get through these comments,
and
then we sort of started delving into the second topic.
Yeah,
a little bit. I got crap.
Well, I think we could probably have a more robust discussion on it, on that topic. Game mechanics in the future.
Yeah, it's a whole show in itself.
It's probably a whole show. Yeah.
But there's certain aspects of that video that were like, okay. Which was interesting is that I did not know that video that he put out was about that, and then because I just wanted to talk about that second topic, and then
Well, you also have to realize that he is writing rules for skirmish games, and he's really made no bones about it. I mean, he sticks to his guns. He does not like rank and flank, and he says so. He sticks to his guns, and I respect the man for his opinion and how he sticks with it. I just disagree.
Well,
because I think it's
none of us on our channel. I don't
disagree with him having it. I just disagree that I think it's too. It sounds like he's wanting to shave stuff off and really focus people this way. I tend to think that everything should be more inclusive and talk about skirmish, talk about rank and flank, talk about how you can use them all together.
I'll throw one thing out there in his defense. We have to think about things from another perspective. He has a channel that is probably more than 30 times more popular than all of our channels put together. And there's the reason there's the whole clickbait thing, right? Like, people put controversial videos out for the purpose of actually getting people to click on them and watch. And so I think there's a little bit of that in there. Like, when you put something out and say, these are the 4 things that shouldn't be included in anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are
want
going to
to-
jump in there and they're going to look. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, and you know, and like, you know, generally speaking, when you and I put out videos that say, you know, like everything has a place, like that's not as interesting.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that
So-
you have to
Well,
realize
it
what-
might be right. It might be right, but it's not. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
like
but
definable. It's not
it doesn't
definable. Sorry,
juice
Musty. I didn't mean
people
to
up and get them all, you know. Well, it
It's
worked.
just not. It's not
We
definable.
talked
It's
about
not. Yeah, it's like people like lists. Like, here are the top reasons for this. Like, here are the top reasons why this kind of music is no longer popular. Like, you know, or like not nearly as popular as it was before. Like, this is why. Here are the top reasons for this. Like, you know, and people click on those videos. Like, and so that's. I think that's part of it. Like, you know, like to some degree. But you know, like I think your comments are valid though. I mean, you know, like in the sense of, hey, if you're going to say that these are the 4 things you should never do, somebody's going to tell you that, like, never say never. You know,
somebody's going to argue with you.
well, you know, like, you know, I mean, like, there's going to be people that are going to like some of those things.
And one thing you have to look at is that a lot of these huge channels like that, they'll put the topic out and they'll never respond to what's going on in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they opine their opinion in the video and then they just walk away. Let
Yeah.
everybody argue in the comment section.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I won't say.
The thing I don't like, and this is not that, the thing I don't like is when people do a controversial thing for like a video,
Yeah.
and then when you actually watch the video, it's really not nearly as like
Controversial.
outrageous as what they said. Like the only reason I
Yeah.
watched this is because you said, like, this is the thing that everyone hates. Like, but then when you actually go over it, you just talk about how some people don't like it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no.
And then I'm like, why did I even watch this? I already knew that. You know?
Yeah.
You got me to click on it and you got a view and you might have got some ad revenue off of me for watching it. You got those couple pennies off me. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get through some of these comments here. It's like some of the best stories can be games that you lose. Yeah, it's like
absolutely. Absolutely.
I was winning until I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't-
I was winning until I put my models on the table.
I was winning until they showed me that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even know I'm not.
Not if I'm too sleep deprived to remember them.
Oh yeah.
I'm very narrative oriented gamer, so the story driven skirmishes are fine.
Well, yeah.
Well, when you have when you got a massive battle over the cabbage patch for who can make the sauerkraut the best, well, then that's a hell of a narrative. Not like
Yeah.
a game that I played once with somebody
Yeah.
that's on this channel right now.
Don't mention any names.
Yeah.
Yep,
Change the
AWDI or AWI.
Scratch the itch. There you go. You need a place that to have the game sit and not have kids that ruin the game that's just sitting there. That is true.
True. And again, that can lead to a lot of that, you know, let's move it along sort of mentality. Yeah.
Gonna bail. Got a dental surgery in the morning.
Oh,
ouch.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Get there,
that's-
brother. Woo.
Who's that?
Oh,
That was
get
Clyde.
there.
Clyde. Yeah, good luck, buddy.
Hopefully you don't have to be too patient and it's very short, not 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad's in the
That'd be one
house.
of those things. Oh, hey, Brad.
And one page rules for
For the win. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've tried several of different systems. Mel and we were just starting to get into them just before I had my surgery, and I haven't played a game since into March, I think it was.
Oh my.
Jeez,
you have
man, that's
withdrawal?
not like you.
Yeah, well, I haven't gone anywhere, and no one's come to me, so that's. And let's see, short or long games don't bother me since I'm strictly a solo war gamer. Win for me. It's like
Yeah.
Go.
Oh,
I'm
I
always
play-
winning until I beat myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
gosh
play
dang, I
lots
lost
of
again.
solo games. I mean, they're fun and they're interesting if you set them up the right way. I mean,
Exactly. And let's see, nerds in the house. And
hey, nerd.
say Silver Bayonet, Egypt, Canada, Italy.
Well,
So how's the
That was
construction of the Stuka going there?
Coming along nicely. Trying to put some battle damage on it for the reason why it's crashed on the
Taken.
ground.
I've been working on what you heard me is scraping on this is this 3D model, 3D printed model I have here.
That's good size.
That's going to be a piece of terrain for some fantasy battle here on the table.
some
I've never
fantasy
heard of
battle that may take
People-
place.
People play that?
You never know.
Yeah. So yeah, here's the building right here.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
could play
3D
on that
printed this.
table if I had to. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's
Very
hollow.
cool.
The
Very
hollow
cool.
building. So
Nice.
I've been gluing all the different pieces on. At one point, I glued myself to the building, and it's like by the time I glued myself from the part, then the part came off. So it's like, Arr! So
I just did some like of the cloth on the arms and
yeah,
elbow pads, knee pads, cloth throughout this thing is all I really worked on tonight. Just it's a larger model though, so it's actually like painting a few miniatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. I need
it doesn't
to.
seem like if it was one guy, it wouldn't seem like a lot, like a 28 mil guy. But I also did the stuff on the staff, the cloth that's like the wrap around that he's holding onto on
Right.
the staff.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't painted the wood yet, but so yeah, that's all I worked on tonight. But it took a while.
I still have to finish cleaning up my Deadpool and Wolverine diorama I have.
Nice.
Got-
Who's winning in the diorama?
Well, Wolverine's got his claws like this up into Deadpool. He's lifting him up
Yeah.
because he's like, "Eh." And then
Deadpool's
Deadpool's got
sword
his,
in him.
and he's got his magnum sticking down onto
Oh, right.
Wolverine's head and pulling the trigger.
That'll be. I think I'm going to watch I'd like to watch that movie in the theater, maybe.
I will be.
Speaking of that, I don't really talk about going to movies and watch them in the theater much anymore. But there's an Alien movie coming out that I'm definitely watching. In the
Oh,
theater.
Definitely.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
gonna see that one.
Yeah, that's a like.
I've
even-
seen every Alien movie in the movie, so let's not stop there.
like every Alien movie, like Mars Attacks, like every single like movie.
No,
that has a-
Alien, the Alien Predator,
Alien
Predator.
franchise.
Yeah. That's a bad movie. That movie sucked.
That was a great movie.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Mars
Jeez.
Attacks.
Mars Attacks. Yes.
I remember. You know, it's funny. I guess I haven't watched it since as like a recent adult. I guess I was quite young when I watched it, younger. But when it came out, Independence Day, like in the theaters and everything,
Oh yeah.
I thought it was really cool. Like I actually kind of liked it, but I was watching like somebody kind of rip it apart. You know what I mean? Like you know, like a review of it, and I was like, yeah, I guess I don't really think about that. Like, you know, like I can't remember that far back. But at the time when it came out, it was actually pretty cool. I thought.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I remember we were out in Idaho. We seen it in the theater in Idaho. We were out at the base out there doing gunnery on the tank range out there.
Like you do.
We had the 4th of July. We actually seen it on 4th of July in Boise theater.
Oh, cool.
You guys were looking around to see where the ship came down.
Yeah.
Was it over there?
Well, we weren't anywhere near these major cities that would have been hit by the aliens, so we were good.
Luckily.
So yeah, it was kind of
Anyway.
cool.
Cool.
Oh,
That was
now you're scraping.
the place
Yeah.
where I seen a fire tornado.
Oh,
Oh yeah, the one that. Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, so we were
Out on the range.
We were in. It's like whenever you have your tanks in a certain, you go and you set them up so all the rears are facing inward. And you got your guns out. It's
Right.
like a and
Like
we
a
did a
hedgehog.
short count. So we did a short count, 3, 2, 1, and I was like, and we also lit them up. And so you got 1,200, 1,500 degree heat coming off all these 12 tanks because it was a company size operation.
Whoa.
And all of a sudden, all the heat going up, and it's like, next thing you know, it's like we created a giant Zephyr tornado. It was like it engulfed all of us. Next thing you know, it grew into this massive monster. It just started picking up dust and going to the sky. And we had lit the range on. We stopped because we lit the range on fire, and they sort of got the fire under control. And then when it took off, this thing took off and it went out and it lit the field back up. And the next thing you know, it was just a giant, caught everything on fire again. And then the next thing you know, you're seeing up to 2,000-3,000 feet in the air. And you got this big giant vortex of fire just going
I have
up.
this image of Rusty screaming, "It's an Afridi!"
Exactly. And it was just like it started going off across the range, and it was really funny. It was then all next thing you know, you got all the pumper trucks, the fire departments are like woo, 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 just running off in the field, and they're chasing this thing with their hoses. They're like it's like going across the field, and they're shooting water on, trying to shoot it down. It's like it was hilarious. It was like Keystone Cops.
I would imagine they had a few choice words for you guys.
Hey, what can you say? We burned the field down.
Yeah, basically,
And it just took off, and it just kept. And then finally, they stopped and just let it go. It just kept on burning out into the desert. So it was kind of funny.
That is crazy. I never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. I've seen a footage of. I think it was out west. There was a forest fire, basically a wildfire going on, and the fire department made it big California, and they were trying to hose it down, and all of a sudden the wind got so hard it picked up the hose and just sucked the hose right up. The hose went straight up in the air, and all of a sudden it falls back down, burnt off.
oh my gosh,
It was like then the hose is like and just spraying
It's
water.
insult to
everywhere 'cause
injury
it just
there.
got torched. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Those things are frightening when you see them. I mean,
Yeah.
there's an awful lot of heat and an awful lot of power in those.
Yeah, and then once they get they feed themselves in.
It just keeps
You
going.
got the
and
updraft
going.
going, and it just sucks all the oxygen right into it, and then next thing you know, they just take off and they're going, they're doing their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's why I'm glad I don't live there.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Burning down the house.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I guess the next show we'll have is, let's see, the fair.
An August show.
It'll be in August. Let me check really. I'll tell you that we got the Iowa State Fair. I might be able to do a Thursday night during that time.
When's the fair?
It starts on the 8th and ends on the 18th. So we could do the 22nd.
If that's the Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably plan for that.
Yeah. So
That
I'm
sounds
Yeah.
good.
I got nothing on my schedule.
I'm actually on vacation before that, but I'm back by then.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
Thursday, the
That sounds
22nd of August.
Yeah.
August.
Okay.
Okay, that works, as far as I know.
Around that time, maybe we'll have an event another month later around that time, possibly.
Possibly.
Might could happen. Might could happen.
Kicking off a new season or something.
Mhm.
We'll come rescue Rusty because he hasn't gotten a game in. So it's like a rescue mission, really.
Yeah.
Or a,
Nobody's
an
coming to me, and I'm not
sort
going
of
to
an
anybody else.
aid.
It's like a cry for help.
UN,
Help me.
UN aid mission or something. Canadians are even coming in. This is serious.
We got the
Operation Warfare.
time. We had to rely on the Canadians.
Representing NATO.
We're having a NATO force come in.
Yeah, God save the Queen.
Oh my God.
Well, if you want something done right, you call the Canadians.
Hey,
No matter how far.
hey, a bunch of hosers out here. You need a game in, eh?
Hey, what's over?
Oh my God. We could have him come in January and you'll be like, this isn't cold, boys.
Yeah, I like it when I moved
Where's
down here
all
in the
the
tropics.
snow?
It's so warm. It's only 40 below.
I brought my shorts. Oh,
We sit on the back deck and drink beers, eh?
Eh? I've never
Well,
heard
I think it's
Palmer
time to
say
take off, eh?
eh. There was first time. Yep, Battletech. Are you done with your beer? Are you
That's
done with your
crazy.
beer?
I
Did
actually
you
have a
drink it?
little bit, couple of drops
Yep.
left there if you can hear it.
All right.
That's
Way to pace
insane.
yourself.
Is this the? It must be that we're at 18 episodes in. It took us that long to just forget where we were, because like in all honesty, we've not had one BattleTech reference tonight, have we?
Oh,
I don't
yes,
All
we
the
have.
Rusty's whole
Well,
update was.
You talked a
Battletech.
little bit about. Well, you talked about. I remember you talking
building.
about also with the terrain that you don't play like the map style. Like I remember that, but we
Yeah.
haven't had one like BattleTech in the comments or one reference to it for our drink.
Well, we
Well, that's
probably would have
because
got to some
There
of
we
the
go.
topic
doing
if we
fine
got
without
into
the
second
prompting.
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You needed no
True.
encouragement. to
There you
finish
go.
that.
Yeah. I can't find my here my glasses. That's what I was looking for.
Well, we forgot
Dang.
this one here.
Getting
This-
senile and blind. Well, I'm nearing the end, and actually, it's not glued together, but
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
because I got to paint inside the cockpit before I glue the cockpit together, so it's all just fitting together to see how it's coming. And drilled some damage in the tail, and yeah,
Oh, looks good.
thanks. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Oh, here we go. Brad did say his BattleTech Kickstarter came in.
Oh, did yours come, Rusty? I saw somebody post a thing on Facebook, and this box was like the size of a refrigerator. Well, not
Mine hasn't
really.
come in yet.
It was huge, and I'm like, holy moly!
Let's just say they told me to pay them an extra $50 because of shipping.
Oh gosh.
Extra 50. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So did my
there's
son.
yeah.
And I haven't got it yet. So
Yeah, but you
they
haven't
haven't
had
even
a
told me it's been shipped yet.
Shipping notice. Okay,
No.
that's what I wondered.
But then they got like 30,000 people that backed it. So it's going to take them a while to get to everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
No
Did you get
joke.
all your Bretonians, Dan?
What's that?
Did you get all
no,
your Bretonians?
I've
Made
got
to order?
none. I've the February 2nd, and I haven't seen them yet.
So February.
This is
Oh,
yeah.
So you might hit the 6 month. You might hit
yes,
6 months.
yes.
Did you end up getting the giant, the Murata giant?
Kind of burned me out on that whole. No, because I was kind of just like screw
Yeah.
that.
I saw somebody posted on
I mean-
Facebook like that they got theirs today, like their Marauder giant, on the Old World page.
Oh, they
Okay.
finally showed up.
I almost did, and I've always wanted one, and I'd love to paint it. And but then I was like, I got so much stuff that I'm enjoying paint. Well, I'm not going to add to it, and I'm not going to spend more money. And then if it takes 6 months, I might be dead by then. It's like, good Lord.
I didn't do any of the made to order stuff, but for the stuff that was the regular release, that
Yep.
I got it actually pretty good. It actually came in a pretty good period of time. I mean, I don't know, it was like a month.
Oh,
like a
and
month.
some people got the made to order Bretonian stuff. Well, some they
Yeah.
obviously had it on stock,
Ready.
but
Yeah.
but even since then, every once in a while, people say, "Oh, they got theirs," and I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
They're usually always in the UK.
yeah, I don't know what's so special about
The
those.
rest of the world.
It
can
seems
suck
like it. It seems like it.
Quaint again. Okay, sorry.
I keep Rusty. Is that a Night Goblin box that you have back there? I'm kind of trying. Or is that the Orc box that you got back there?
This box.
Right. That one. Yeah. Like that one. Yeah.
The bottom one is a Bretonian box.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
And then that one
Like
is,
Pegasus.
I think the is that 6th edition or 7th edition box set on top of that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, no, I remember you did talk about that already. I saw it back there and I was like, oh, old world. Like,
Yeah, I got to finish putting all the models together because that's my next project is going to be working on Brettonians.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to painting some minis again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, as soon as I'm
Actual
done
miniatures.
painting this last bit of orc archers I got right here and finishing this BattleTech terrain for the project that has to get done, and this building here, that's going to be sort of a side project. I will start on the Brettonians.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Cool.
Oh.
All right, guys. Well, I probably should get going.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. It's getting late.
It's late. Yeah, it's even later.
I got to change a truck tire tomorrow. I can't wait.
Pace
Sounds
yourself.
like fun.
I just bought brand new truck tires for my truck in January. Yeah, I ran over something. It's one of those things where you turn left or you turn right. Well, I turned left and took the back way to go. It takes me by the recycling center. And so I probably drove over a big piece of steel or nail or something laying in the road and never saw it, because you got to go to the railroad tracks, and sometimes that stuff, they have a guy that has these big magnet things that he goes out and goes across the road to pick stuff up. I must have got there either way before he started or way after he was done, and God, it
just got lucky.
Yeah,
we have that.
I really like these tires that I got on my truck. They ride really smooth. They're all train tires, but they're really good on the highway. And
well, they're not ruined, right?
No, it's just we'll have to see. And then I never checked because I got my truck. My son helped me get this truck used, and I didn't even look at the spare that's underneath when I bought it. That thing's almost bald. It's almost this smooth.
For an emergency only. Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm going to have to just buy 2 tires now.
Yeah.
So I can fix it.
Yeah. Well, I called them to get when I first got
it's in the sidewall.
Yeah. I had a pump on it, trying to pump it up a little bit, and I poured water on it to see if I could see, the air bubbles coming up.
I put soapy water on. Huh?
Yeah, and it just.
Or are they tubeless or what? If it's a tubeless tire, that a lot of times the screw or whatever's in it will plug the hole pretty well for quite a while.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's probably some odd shaped piece of steel or something.
That happens to me all the time. I just put a patch on it and away you go.
Well, that one will be the spare tire, and then I'll get a new one for the front. I would riding a back tire with a patch is one thing, but not on the front.
Oh, really? All my tires have patches. I wouldn't give that a thought. I'm not kidding.
It's that farmer ingenuity we talked about on the last episode.
The patch will never give you trouble as long as the tire's still good.
Oh, yeah.
Patches? We don't need no stinking patches.
Oh, heck no.
Well, guys, I'm gonna leave you to the tires, and I'm going to head out.
All right.
I'm gonna head out too.
I'm gonna hit the old. Let's end it. We'll see you guys in about a month over on Palmer Shen, and we got a topic already. So
exactly.
We just never got to the one.
Good.
We've totally forgotten that we talked about it this week.
Make sure somebody writes it down, and so you can send out a reminder. Because
I think Rusty put it in our group text.
Yeah,
it's right.
Although that can get lost pretty quickly, depending on who you talk.
True.
I'll just try to remember. I'll put it on our. It's in our Musty Wargamers. I do have a rolling topic
on the Facebook group.
I'll actually I'll put it on my necklace that has the recorder that I speak into, just to remember things like, roast beef, need a roast beef. So like I go to the supermarket.
This little piggy needed a topic.
Well, it's getting late. I think we all need to go to bed.
I know I do. All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you in a month.
See you guys.